Okay. All right. I'm just gonna double check as always on my phone.
Sure.
Yeah, we're live now.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get started. Good evening, everyone. And tonight we're gonna have people tuning in via Zoom and also via the Facebook. So bear with me because I'm gonna have to pay attention to everybody. If you have any questions, concerns, or something, just write on the chats, and I'll make sure that I see those. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Carla Garza. I am from Mexico City, and I am a part of the Somos 21 Sydney chapter. But before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land here in Sydney, where the three of us are, is the home of the Gadigal people from the Eora Nation, and I would like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Also, for a little bit of context for those who don't know a lot about what Somos is, Somos 21 is a non-profit organization that seeks to empower its members to create value by connecting and promoting collaboration between people from Australia and Latin America through our digital platform and events in the different cities where we have presence here in Australia and also in Latin America. Also, we are aware that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected negatively the Latin American community. And as an organization, we wanted to help our people. So we launched a survey to understand the main needs and concerns of our fellow Latinos here in Australia. And the results were very clear that not only the pandemic has affected the physical and mental health of the community, but it also has impacted the employment status of a lot of people and thus their incomes, and it's creating a lot of stress. So this is why Jasmine and Elvira came together to try to help you guys to get back on your feet and get your resumes ready and get prepared to start the hunt for your next job. So this is why this webinar was born. And before I introduce Jasmine and Elvira, I just want to tell you guys that we want these sessions to be as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions or if you have any comments, please make sure to write it on the comments or in the chat here in the ones that are in the Zoom meeting. Elvira Lourenco is the founder of ELAJ Consulting Services and has extensive knowledge in human resources management. She speaks 5 languages, including Spanish, and she has managed over 150 people from very diverse backgrounds whilst living and working in China, Taiwan, Vietnam, and Latin America. These experiences have given her a unique understanding of the business culture and the negotiation approach. In the other hand, we have Jasmine Sliger. She is a cross-cultural organizational and counseling psychologist who is also a mediator, facilitator, and executive coach who owns her own company. With a solid background in human resources, learning and development, and organizational development, she has helped hundreds of leaders and teams around the globe. She has worked with over 100 companies in Australia and internationally, and she has developed many recruitment programs. So we have 2 really experienced, incredible experts, and they're gonna keep sharing their all of their tips for you guys to develop those skills, develop that resume. So welcome, guys. Welcome, Elvira. Welcome, Jasmine. Thank you for being here tonight.
Happy to be here, honey. How are you, Elvira?
Good. How are you, Jasmine? How are
Really
you, Carla?
And I'm really good.
And I noticed that we have Lena with us tonight in Zoom, so that's good. Welcome, everyone. It is great to have you attend our webinar. So today is webinar number 3. We have a series of webinars. So in terms of resume, There are 4 webinars, and we will continue on with another series of webinars about interviews. So today's webinar is, what do you include in your CV? That's a big question. Last week, we presented, Jasmine and I presented examples of CVs and how you had transportable skills that you could use within your CV. So today we are going to have a look a little bit further as to what you would include. So we know that CVs have gaps. So in terms of your career, so how do you position that gap? Let's say you have been a civil engineer, or you have done your studies in civil engineering, and you may be currently for the last 6 or 7 months or a year, or maybe involved in doing some hospitality jobs. So that's what we mean by a gap in your CV. So how do you position that gap? So one of the things that is important about the gap in your CV is you have to be honest. So one of the things is assume that the employer is going to find out about the gap. So don't hide it, show it. Do show the gap in your resume, but explain it briefly. So it is important that you are prepared. It is important that you explain, that you reassure, and keep it short. And some of the reasons can be very simple. So it could have been an illness. It could have been for family reasons. It could be because you want to do further studying. And all of that, whatever your reason is, be prepared to so I wanted to pass it to Jasmine, if you would like to add something to this interesting point that we have when there is a gap that you have to discuss in your CV.
Yeah. As some of you know, because I've talked about it, I've worked in maximum security prisons, and one of the courses I used to teach in the prisons is I used to teach job seeking skills. So at that time we didn't have a computer, so I'd have them sit at a desk with a phone book and a phone and help them, find jobs essentially. And I would be there to coach them. And it was the most fun I've ever had. So if somebody had been in prison for 15 years for armed robbery, what were they going to say they were doing the last 15 years? So believe me, I can really kind of carve out a truth and make it somewhere in the middle. But I think it's one of the things that Elvira is saying, which is true, is that it's very important not to over-explain. Oh, yes, I've had a baby and my baby's beautiful and I have a picture of my baby, here you go, and all that. Not that babies aren't beautiful, but I just think that you're there to market yourself. And so keep your eye on the ball. That's really important. And you've done, and obviously you've done your homework about the company, because if you've done your homework about a particular company, and I'll just use Google as an example because I've had a little bit to do with them, you would, of course, cater, your gaps should cater to something Google's interested in. So you can't lie, but you can certainly dovetail what Google wants to what you have. So for example, you're a software engineer and Google says, and Google, really, let's say they really favor people that are very educated in a certain software package. So then you can say, took 3 months off doing the software package, if indeed that's true, by the way. and that kind of thing. But obviously, whatever company you have, and we'll talk about this, Elvira and I and Carla will talk about this more when we do interviewing skills, you must research the company that you're applying for, because you need to know what are their values, what are the important things that you want to put in the resume, especially in your gaps, that could help you. Rightio, Elvira?
Yes, completely agree. And some of you, I think what is relevant is that some of you are currently studying here in Australia. You are learning a second language. So your gap is not because you are having a holiday in Australia. You're actually doing something. You are being productive. You are expanding your skills. You are actually educating yourself. And this is very positive to the employer that is looking at your resume and saying this person is doing some personal development.
Yes.
So it is very encouraging. What do you think, Jasmine?
Yes, and also from a employer perspective, it demonstrates that you have ambition. This person is ambitious. They're going outside of their comfort zone. Very, very impressive.
Completely agree. And you know, the fact that you are going for a second language, or maybe it is your third language that you are going for here in Australia, that shows, as Jasmine said, that you are ambitious, that you want to be, that you want to further your skills, and looking after yourself demonstrates that you will be able to do a good job. So we have a question from Lena. So Jasmine, I'll read the question from Lena.
Yep.
So Lena is asking, would that be the case for me? So she's validating 3 years of her law degree. Yes, that would apply to you. But my question to you, Lena, and I will ask Jasmine to contribute here as well, is you are validating 3 years of your law degree, but you are doing something in between? So you are working as a contract manager. Yeah.
Great.
So this is very positive. The fact that you are validating your law degree in a different country, because we know that law is pretty much the same, but it varies from country to country because there are different legislations, there are different regulations that apply to different areas of the law. It could be commercial law, it could be criminal law, depending what your interest is. So if you are validating your degree, it means that you also have to demonstrate, perhaps by prior learning or through cases that you've been involved with, in order to further validate your law degree here in Australia. And this is very positive because it means that you are doing everything to practice in your area of expertise. And whilst you are doing that, you're a contract manager as well. That means that you're not idle, you're not sitting there doing nothing. You are actually being very proactive. And this looks very good for employers.
Yep, it looks very good for employers, and you have a leadership position. And you're a people person because you're being a manager, so you're supervising or having interactions with employees. Those kind of things are really critical, and they blend well, because one of the biggest complaints of lawyers is that they do not listen to their clients and that they're not user friendly. Well, already you've established yourself that you're user friendly, because you have been a manager and because you are a people person and you're supervising others. So maybe we need to look at some words that you want to use with your CV. So maybe, Elvira, what I'll do now is I'll pop up my words, if that's okay.
Yes, fantastic.
Okay, so if you remember, and I'm just, if you remember, I was talking about, ooh, let me just see where this is.
So what we are going to do with Jasmine, there is a list of action words that Jasmine is going to present to us tonight. And Jasmine is going to give the perspective of what are functional action words and what are personal action words.
Yes. So if you remember in the CV, and you know what I might do? I might pop up the CV just so I can show everybody how people have action words. So I'll just pop up. A ver, ¿dónde puse? Aquí está, somos 21. Okay, I'll just put Marlina Fuentes CV. Now, these are action words. Building a, oh, you can't see that, sorry. Would be nice if I put the right one up, wouldn't it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let me just put this one. Okay, let me just do that again. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got Marlina Fuentes, and as you can see, these are the words. Building a business from start to finish, ability to, advanced systematic organizational management and technical skills. I have to draw breath. Ability, a strong team player, advanced, facilitated. So these words are actually really important because what they do is they, and I'll just get rid of this for a second. Okay, let me just do this. Okay, now you can see it, everybody. Can you see it, Carla? Oh.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. No, I can't see it yet.
Okay, you can't see it now? No. Okay, let me screen share. Let me do this. Okay, how's that?
There you go.
Okay, so these are doing words, as they used to teach me when I was learning English. These are doing words. So you want to make sure that you have those doing words in your CV. So abstract, accomplish, achieve, adjust, analyzed, developed, reorganized, renovated, memorized, empathized, authorized. So these are words that are really important in the beginning part of your CV, where you talk about your 5 skills. If you remember, we talked about that. So these are some of your words that you'd use. There are also other words that you would use to describe yourself. Personal skills, like, for example, that you might want to use in your job summary, or the top bit of what Marlina's was talking about. And I'll just get her up again. Okay, I am a seasoned, that's a personal, seasoned international business owner and executive with an expertise in industrial chemistry. So those words are really important, those personal, what I would call achievement words. So if we look at these words again, sorry. So if you look at these personal skill words, I'm adaptable, I'm adventurous, I'm aggressive in terms of reconciling the books at the end of every month, or argumentative, easygoing, efficient, empathic, assertive. I was recognized for, as I was developing this course, I was recognized for my quick-mindedness in hitting the targets for what the team needed. Humorous, self-controlled, self-starter, sincere, sociable. So these are all really important words that you can use, and I'm going to ask Carla to put it up on our platform or wherever we put it up on, so people will have access to it. Elvira, do you want to add anything, honey, maybe about soft and hard skills?
Yes, what I wanted to do is perhaps just discuss a little bit the meaning behind the hard and soft skills. So hard skills are the functional skills that Jasmine showed, and the way they are defined, or the definition for that, is hard skills are teachable abilities or skill sets that are easy to quantify. So certainly the very first list of words that were functional words are teachable abilities or skill sets that are easy to quantify. So if you talk about, I assigned, one of the words for functional was assign. Assign, it is a teachable ability, is about delegating work, is a skill set that is easy to quantify. So how often did you assign? Was that part of your job? Was that part of what you did as a contract manager? So you can think of hard skills or functional words in that perspective. Whereas your soft skills and personal skills, on the other hand, are subjective skills that are much harder to quantify. So, for example, in one of the words that were personal skills in the list provided by Jasmine, let's say adaptable. So if you are an adaptable person, it is very much a subjective skill. You are adaptable. Why? Because you as a person have moved from Brazil to Australia, or from Colombia to Australia, or from Chile to Australia, Argentina. Anywhere that you have moved shows adaptability. The fact that you have worked in different industries also shows adaptability. So there is a set of experiences, personal experiences, that give you these personal skills that you can add to your resume.
And
yeah,
and also adding to that, for example, and I'll give you an example of this. I know I'm obviously at the top of my tree a bit, but we're both at the top of our tree. But looking at it, the word adaptable, for example, I've worked in over 100 companies across 7 industries. So you might say I'm adaptable to not only law, but also aviation, and also finance, and also IT. So, those are, now that is significant, because we know literature tells us that people will have up to 5 careers in their lifetime. So if that's the case, then we have these skills, these soft skills are really important, because people need soft skills now, and they actually value them. And they actually, if I look at the money factor, people hire me a lot so that companies and teams will play nice, really. So my soft skills are actually quite expensive if you look at it from that viewpoint. Elvira?
I agree with Jasmine. People are looking for a well-rounded person that will have personal skills or functional skills that go across different industries, or they can tap into different areas. So when you work for large organizations, there are many different departments sometimes that are part of a large organization. So how do you use those personal skills across a human resources department, production department, quality management department? So all these areas that in a way are so different. But what is the common factor? People. And your personal skills is what people need. How much experience do you have in being adaptable, in being cross-cultural, in having lived in different countries and experienced different cultures? And this is valuable because most of you come from different cultures into an Australian culture. And this is very valuable to the person that is looking at your CV.
Yes. And it's also beneficial that as you put your bullet points in the jobs that you've worked, and I'll just for a second stop this and put the other one up, Marlena's. If you look at this, this is all important, but this is past. We've said that really this should be in bullet points. But if she were to put her achievements, if her achievements had to do with her soft skills, like bringing together multicultural teams or virtual teams, or arranging for stakeholder analysis and running focus groups, whatever, you can use those personal skills because their soft skills are really, really important.
Completely agree.
Yep. So what happens when you, and I guess Elvira will speak to this a little bit, what happens when you work in hospitality jobs? What happens? And I'm going to get out of here in case you want to pop up the other lady's resume, CV
Yes,
rather.
I will do that. Yep.
Now this woman put herself through university, and she's been in hospitality for a long time. She's now applying for jobs outside of hospitality. So what does she do with that resume? What can she do? You okay, Elvira?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I'm just looking for the actual document. So
okay, let me see if I can find it.
And we are going to go here. Okay, I've got it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got the version that we modified, and I'll bring it up. So share the screen. Yep. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All good.
That's great.
Okay. Thank you. Oh dear. Tonight is a bit okay. Can everybody still see that? Sorry.
Gomez. I like it.
Okay. So what we saw with Selena Gomez was a proven track record in customer service satisfaction. So in her original resume, she talked about being in the hospitality industry. So what we did is, what area of the hospitality industry relates to wanting to become an Aldi manager? So the area from hospitality that might relate to that is customer service. So that was quite an important skill, a functional skill from her job in the hospitality industry, working in restaurants, in high-end restaurants, that she could bring to another job such as Aldi manager. proven success in leadership and operational management, building rapport in a multicultural environment. So Selena, from this resume, she had access to multicultural customers that would come and visit her or would visit the restaurants, and she would have to take their orders and tend to their tables and provide a good customer service to the people, as it is in the hospitality industry. So you can use that information in order to be able to portray that in a skill that will be transportable to becoming an Aldi manager. So for her to represent that in her CV, wanting to go across from the hospitality industry to being a manager of a supermarket. Jasmine.
Yes, I absolutely think that this rework of this resume was brilliant on your part, Elvira. Very good, because really her skills really stick out. And so if she's going to Aldi, one of the things that she'd need to do is investigate Aldi. What are their current issues? What are some of the things they're looking for? And capitalize on that in her CV, including looking at putting down her achievements of how she related to people and her soft skills, her functional skills. I think that would be really important.
So I'm just going down to the area where she put her work history.
Yep.
Which we modified as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, in the Billy Kwan restaurant where she worked at, what were the functional skills that were most important there was manage various tasks and provided seamless service to over 200 customers per night. So the idea of the number of guests that she would have, they are customers. They are paying customers that are looking for a good service. So this is something that is transportable, and it's something that Aldi also has many customers that walk into the door every day to purchase different products. Another interesting point here was that in the work that she did for News Corp, there was a mention of Coles Supermarket. So this is important to bring out in her resume because she is wanting to go into Aldi Supermarket. So anything that you have done as a job that is in the area where you are looking to go into, use that to your advantage in your CV.
Yes, and so if I'm an Aldi decision maker as to whether I should hire her, it would be really good because I know that she knows about Coles, and I know that if I want a competitive advantage, I'm going to have somebody that really has these kind of skills.
Completely. And for example, there was an interesting point in the Billy Kwan restaurant that special attention to the storytelling philosophy of the how the cuisine was prepared by the chef and the restaurant, and how much care they had in doing that. So instead of going into such great detail about the cuisine, about the dishes and the history of it, you can actually say special attention to the storytelling philosophy of the work environment. So not necessarily of the restaurant's cuisine philosophy, to create an optimum customer experience. This is what supermarkets competing against each other are doing.
That's
are you
right.
going to have the ultimate experience at Woolworths?
Yes, that's right.
So this is something that you need. So how have I done that? Perhaps in a different industry that we can relate to a supermarket like Aldi or any other supermarket.
That's right. That's right. So in essence, what we're doing is we're trying to fill in the gaps and trying to get you to really focus on the tasks and trying to get you to bullet point all the achievements beneath everything that you have. These bullet points are really important because they're your achievements. And you shouldn't have 20 achievements. You should only have maybe 5, 6, 7, 6. I think if you stay to 6, you're okay. But I think that's really important because then people will see those achievements and it's much easier to read as opposed to Marlena's that we saw before. It's too much to read. And if I'm a decision maker, I'm not going to waste my time.
Absolutely. Completely agree with you, Jasmine.
Yeah.
So another aspect is if you have been studying in Australia, as we touched on it briefly at the beginning, a lot of my international students are worried that they have been studying in Australia and have not had contact with their industry for a period of time. But what is it that you are doing in terms of your studies that is relevant to your industry? So quite a few students tell me, and a few other people that decide to migrate to Australia and pursue a career here, they say, well, I'm studying project management, or I'm studying marketing, or I'm studying social media and marketing. So look for the subjects within those areas that you are studying or those diplomas that are relevant to your career. You will find that most of the subjects that you are studying are relevant to your career path anyway, or intertwine, or they have the dovetail effect, as Jasmine explained, in terms of you applying it to your area of interest or where you want to pursue your career.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So it's all marketing. If you think of your brand, if I'm applying for Aldi or I'm applying to work at Sydney Airport as a manager, working for Sydney Airport per se, they're very different set of skills, folks. But I'm going to do my research and I'm going to make my summary or my pitch, my little paragraph. I'm going to make it fit Aldi, and I'm going to make it fit Sydney Airport. I'm then going to have 4, 5, 6 skills with action words attached to them. I'm then going to talk about my experiences, but I'm going to do so in bullet point achievement bullet points so that people know that I've achieved something. Especially, by the way, if you have been fortunate enough to manage money. So you wouldn't necessarily say, well, I managed 60 million liters of wine. You would say, I managed $60 million budget for whatever wine company. Okay. So those are the kind of things that you really need to pay attention to. And I think that's it for me. Elvira, do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't have anything else, but on that same line, Lena has asked quite an interesting question.
Okay.
So Lena asked, how does that compete? So how would someone like Selena going for Aldi manager, how does that compete with someone that actually has had experience in another supermarket? How to be a really good candidate? That's an interesting question.
Yeah, this is my opinion. This is not research or fact, but what I'm hearing on the ground here, being in interviewing life, is that supermarkets are now becoming attractive places for people in hospitality. And that people in hospitality are starting to be seen as quite serious about what they can do, particularly if they have degrees. So if you were an economist in Chile and you've come here, the fact that you were a fair dinkum economist and you worked as in a cafe, you know, that is a really, people are starting to take notice of our international students and of the life they had that was prosperous when they came from their country. And that because everybody has come here for an advantage, myself included, by the way. It took me about a year, 9 months to get the job that I wanted. And as I've said before, I was a telephonist because I can't type, but I have a good phone voice. So, so I was hired immediately. So it was good, and I was a telephonist. So I have nothing to feel bad about. I learned about Australian business by being on the reception switchboard of companies, and that's what I did. So been there, done that, folks.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah.
I think it is important to understand for like all of the expat community or people that have moved countries or even cities, that there is going to be an adjusting or an adjustment period, and you might not necessarily go back straight into what you were doing in your home country or in your home. Like there's going to be like a bridge between you arriving to a new place, getting to know people, and getting the exact same well, no, it's not obviously going to be the exact same job, but you know what I mean, like the same level of job. Like it takes time, and sometimes it can be quite difficult to accept that, or to have that transition, because sometimes people can like move countries or move cities with an unrealistic expectation of what how this process is going to be, or the timing. So just relax, it's fine. Like take your time to to undergo through that adjustment period, and
Mhm.
it's okay. Like the fact that you are taking that huge leap, and you're taking that chance of moving countries is super valuable as well, and like companies will notice that eventually.
Absolutely. And you know what I want to add to what you're saying, because you're just full of wisdom, Carla, is that that research says that it takes 18 months to acculturate to a new culture, to really feel good. I was a bit down for about, I'd say about a year and a half. But I only wish, honestly, I had Somos 21, because when I came from the States, I had a job for 4 years where I only spoke Spanish, French, and Portuguese. And I got here and I was so depressed because I couldn't find anyone that spoke Spanish. So that's in a way why Somos 21 exists. So we can make connections for people, so that we have events so that people can attend and be with their, and all of us being with our own people, being with our own food. You know, it's really important. And by the way, we also know research, not my opinion, that if you are able to connect with your own people in another country, you're likely to progress more quickly because you're connected to a group, and that group helps you in the transition phases of acculturating to another culture.
Exactly. And like it's so helpful to connect with people that have been through the same stuff, and they can give you advice on how to do things. And it's just it can be more difficult than sometimes you can think, all that adjusting process. And having a platform like Somos 21, or having a community that understands what you are going through, it's super helpful. So that's why we exist as
Yeah.
as an organization.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, guys, why don't we start with questions now? I don't know if anyone on
Yeah,
the
sure.
Facebook Live has any questions, or in the meantime, while people start typing their questions, what do you guys think, like, what is the three main tips, or like the three big things you would give an advice of how to do your resume, like a little summary in three big steps?
Elvira, I'll let you go first.
You and I agree on this, Jasmine. I think an important profile. So I think it's important to provide a good profile of who you are. And I was discussing this with Carla before we started the webinar. So oftentimes you look at your profile and you say, oh, this is not me, or maybe I need to change this, or maybe I need to change that. Perhaps think about 2 or 3 aspects that define you for your profile. So you don't want to do a 5-page profile of yourself. In the interview process, they will ask you so many questions. They will be profiling you. So what you need to do is 2 or 3 areas within your profile that are important of how you see yourself, and run it by someone else. Don't think this is me and that's it. And no, talk to someone else, other people. The way we see ourselves, amazingly enough, is not the way people see us.
That's
So
right.
run it by someone else to get a second opinion. The 5 important skills set that Jasmine discussed, 5 most important skills, as Jasmine showed for Marlena's resume, that would be a second step. And your work experience, what is most important? What are your achievements? Do you have measurable achievements that can be talked about within your work experience? Jasmine.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one to beat. I'll have to figure. I would say everybody's got a brand, a way they come across. And it's really important to understand your brand and how your brand fits in to the world in a way, but also to the job that you're applying for. So I would say understand your brand. Maybe ask people why they like you, and why they think you're competent or why they trust you. People say, often people say to me, I can't believe I'm telling you this story. It must be because you're a psychologist, and it has nothing to do with psychology. It has to do with, I'm very much a people person. I'm fascinated by everyone that walks in my life, everyone. So really important to look at your brand, do research, sweethearts, please do your research about your companies. And also, if you're switching to a different industry, make sure you know something about that industry, and make sure that you can. And it's even better if you can find someone that is in that industry that you can bounce some ideas off, or that will look at your resume, because there are tons of people in the world that want to help you. Tons of people in the world.
Thank you. That's really, like, I've been like writing notes and stuff as well. It's so interesting. We have a question from Mauro Montes on Facebook. So he's giving us a little bit of context about himself as well. I'm just gonna read that. So he says,
Sure.
"Hi, I am a petroleum engineer from Colombia. However, I decided to change my career to civil engineering. I am finishing my TAFE associate degree in civil engineering in a week. I've got 6 months of work experience prior to graduation, and I'm trying to join the workforce. However, I am still not sure how to link my previous work experience from home to the Australian market. Also, I've got experience on sales, retail, here in Australia as well. Do you have any advice of how to link my previous experience to the market nowadays? Thank you."
Do you want to go, or do you want me to go? I don't care, Elvira.
You go first now,
Okay.
and then
All
I'll
right.
go after you.
Now, you said, Carla, you said chemical to
So he was a petroleum engineer in
Petroleum
Colombia,
engineer.
and he
Okay.
switched to civil engineering. So within
Mm-hmm.
the engineering world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest thing that would be a good idea is to actually, if you're an engineer, you have certain skill set, and that skill set is going to be similar, not the same, similar, from petroleum to civil engineering. I would also look at the Engineering Association. Engineering Association has tons of people that they have there that want to mentor you. If you're really interested in becoming a civil engineer, I would find myself a mentor, and actually get them to help me with my resume, and look at, and I'm sure already that you have transportable skills, and you need to look at what those skills are that are transportable. That is, if you know enough about civil engineering. Elvira?
He has so much in common with civil engineering, it's not funny.
Yeah.
Mauro, both industries take risk management very, very seriously. I mean, in petroleum, you cannot make a mistake. In civil engineering, in both
You can't
industry,
make
people
a
lose
mistake.
lives,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
right.
if something goes wrong.
That's
So
so true.
yeah, so that is an incredible skill that you bring to civil engineering. Your analytical skills, data analysis, you know, measuring the outcomes of a project. I mean, you know, basically petroleum and civil engineering, those two areas, they are project management oriented. So whatever project management skills you have in the petroleum industry, you will take to civil engineering. Attention to detail. You are analyzing chemicals.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You are analyzing concrete that you are going to pour in the foundation of a building. I mean, you know, there is so much in common between the two industries. I think what Jasmine said, which was absolutely very good advice, is look for a mentor. Go to the Civil Engineering Industry Association. Can you join an association there? Can you make yourself visible in the events? Do they have webinars where people attend? Is there a student membership that you can join? Look for all these things that will connect you to the right people, because the skills that you have, Mauro, my goodness, I rest my case. You are, you know, going in the right direction for civil engineering.
Absolutely. And actually, you know what I recommend everybody that's listens to this? Our webinar next week will be our last webinar for this series. We then start on talking about interviewing skills. If some of you want to bring your resumes with you and really listen to the previous webinars, see how far you can get, and if you want, send your resumes, and we can use them and say, this is what we recommend, this is what we don't recommend. So if you want to send them to, maybe send them to Carla, because I think your Somos 21 thing is up there, isn't it? Yeah, there it is. Carla.garza@somos21.org. I think, you know, it would be really fun for us to play with it and recommend it. Now, I hope we're not inundated with 2,000 CVs, but that's okay. It's not mine.
I'm definitely gonna send you guys mine.
So let's see what we can do, because we really want to help you. There's so much knowledge that we have, and we would love to share it.
Awesome.
That's a fantastic idea, Jasmine.
Yeah, I love that idea. If you just send it to that email, and I'll forward them to Jasmine and Elvira, and we can talk about them next week. Well, if you guys want. Also, if you prefer for them to not be broadcasted, it's also fair. So just let us know on your on your email, and I'll make sure I'll send the message.
Yeah, and we might
Carla,
not get
yeah.
to all of them, but if we are able to showcase it and put it up, then we can give you feedback, because otherwise we'd be working another 40 hours on top of the 50 hours we're working. Anyway.
Guys, we have another question, maybe the last one before we go.
Sure.
So, Lucy Santisteban is asking, when applying for a desired job position without having experience during a long period of time, how to include previous experience to make it relevant to the new job application?
Okay, you're going to have to talk about the gap.
Mhm.
And that's going to be your challenge, to talk about what you did. Important to really put down those skills that you had that you maybe haven't touched, or maybe there's some skills you've gotten along the way that you have those skills still that you're transporting over. I don't know what your situation is, but I think it's important to talk about the gap. Elvira?
Completely agree. Talk about the gap, what you did during the gap. So the fact that you did study, don't be afraid of that.
Yes.
That shows that you are doing some personal development, and that is important to be able to show that. Is there anything, perhaps, could we get a bit more context, Carla, from
Lucy? I'm not sure if she's Lucy, if you could write a little bit more context. In the meantime, we have a message from Mauro. He was the last question, and he's thanking us. Hey, ladies, what a great advices! I found the live scrolling down in my social media. It has been a great help, and I will follow. Will continue following you from now on.
Oh, great.
He liked
Thank you,
our
Mauro.
advice. Thank you, Mauro. It's our pleasure.
Yeah, our pleasure. Absolutely.
And this is why we're doing this. Like we want to help you guys, and there's a whole community that have been through the same stuff as you. So like we are all expats, we are all, English is our second language as well. We understand the challenge of trying to adapt your resumes from back home and coming here and like understand and like adapting those gap periods that sometimes is a consequence of a migration status. Like literally sometimes you're not even allowed to work for a certain period of time, and like
Yes.
it's okay, and it has its value as well. As I was saying, like it's really valuable for an employer to see, hey, this person had he was daring enough to get out of his home country and come to another place, speak a different language. That don't underestimate that, because it's
Absolutely.
really easy sometimes to underestimate that how powerful that is and how much it says about you.
Yes. And if you are in and there are many personal things that you could do, like for example, to address a gap. Let's say you were sick and you were, I don't know, having brain surgery. But let's say you read some books and you listened to some podcasts and you listened to Harvard University podcasts because you were really interested in looking at economics, which is something that you wanted to study. Well, hey, that's great. I'd be impressed. And if you could tell me a case study that you followed, I would be even more impressed. I'd say, wow, this guy has fire in his belly, really important stuff that you could do with gaps.
Yeah.
And I guess with Lucy's point, from the previous experience that she had, does she have any particular achievements that stand out, whilst she had the gap? So, oftentimes I was helping a student with their CV, and then all of a sudden I found that they were the leader of a petroleum and geological association in their country. And I said, why did you put that? That's really, really good information.
Exactly right.
Because it shows that you connect with people. It shows that you maintain yourself relevant in this in the industry that you want to pursue that you haven't touched for 5 or 6 years, but that you were doing things that you know how to do it. And the fact that it is in your CV, they are going to ask you about it. So you will be able to talk about it.
Yes. Okay, I think we ran out of time a little bit over the time, but
Okay.
guys, I know some of you are asking about discussing this further via email. Please feel free, just shoot me an email and like we'll be in touch with you. So yeah, thank you, Elvira. Thank you, Jasmine, for another wonderful session. I'm literally like writing down everything. It's just really helpful to hear your input and all that experience. Have you? I bet you've seen thousands and thousands of resumes, and
Yep.
we really appreciate your
That's right.
the information and your time.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone, as well. Everyone
Thank
that
you.
tuned in tonight. These are all of our contact details on the screen. So we have our social media and my email if you wish to ask questions and send us feedback, whatever you guys need. Those are contact details. And yeah, these sessions are every Tuesday. Just tonight we started at 8 p.m. just because Jasmine had another appointment before, but they're 7:30 usually. So every Tuesday 7:30, tune in with us. We're gonna start doing both. So if you guys want to link directly into our Zoom webinar, you can get registered in our platform, just somos21.org, and just look for the event on the events tab. And we are also going to be broadcasting them on Facebook. So whatever is easier for you, tune in, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you
everybody,
all.
for coming.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Bye.